Yes, everybody, and welcome back to mufcMPB here on YouTube. My name is Brooks, and today is Thursday, the 5th of October. We have a good few things to discuss today, but as you can tell by the title, the main topic of conversation in today's stream will be about Jadon Sancho's wishes to move back to Borussia Dortmund in the January transfer window, maybe putting an end to this whole debacle between Erik ten Hag, Jadon Sancho, and maybe a couple of other people. But yes, as you heard from my mouth and from mufcMPB over on Twitter, Jadon Sancho does wish to return to Borussia Dortmund in the January transfer window, according to journalist Graham Bailey. Now, we're going to start off with that, but the other things we'll be discussing in today's stream include Manchester United looking to bring in the new sporting director. Apparently, the Glazers do not want to sell. There's been talks around the club around John Murtaugh's lack of experience or know-how, basically saying he's not good enough for the job. Erik ten Hag's maybe gonna have a new approach with this, with the team, in the hope that it will benefit everybody, I guess. Manchester United's Player of the Month, some news on Andre Onana, and a quote from Bruno Fernandes. So there are, let's not forget, some injury updates. So there are quite a few things to get through in this stream. But hello, Stefan, how are you doing? But of course, as you can tell by the title, we will be starting off with the Jadon Sancho news. Reported earlier, Jadon Sancho wants to rejoin Borussia Dortmund in January, according to Graham Bailey. So that is the big news coming out of Old Trafford today. But make sure, guys, if you haven't already, if you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got 1.55k subscribers now, so we're going to try and get that to 1.56, hopefully before the end of the stream. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. Also, if you want to keep up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, make sure you go and follow at mufcMPB over on Twitch, as well as myself, Ash, and Anil, who are the three presenters for this YouTube channel. So, getting straight into it. This is news that some of you might enjoy, some of you might not enjoy so much, but Jadon Sancho does want to move back to Borussia Dortmund in January. Now, this isn't something that is definitely going to happen. It isn't like Jadon Sancho's gone. This is just rumours, but it's coming from a semi-reliable source in Graham Bailey. Now, this isn't something that I would be against. I just don't know the ins and outs of the deal, what the structure of the deal is, whether it's going to be a loan with an obligation, whether it's going to be a loan with an option, whether it's going to be a loan with nothing, whether it's a permanent transfer. I don't know what it is. I haven't had that sort of information yet, and I don't think anybody really has, so we're going to have to keep our eyes open for that. But in my personal opinion, I think I said it last week on this show, I'd rather send Jadon Sancho, I would send him back to Dortmund because we know he can thrive there. The type of environment that he's in, I think benefited him massively. I don't know if you guys keep up to date with Rio Ferdinand's podcast or show or wherever it is, but he had Kevin Prince Boateng on. He's playing the Premier League. You might know of him, you might not. He used to play for Tottenham in the Premier League as well as Portsmouth. He's played for Barcelona, Hertha Berlin, AC Milan, Portsmouth, Tottenham, Sassuolo, Las Palmas. Did I say Hertha Berlin? I don't know if those are all the teams. Actually, you know what? Let me check if they're all the teams he played for. But he did mention Jadon Sancho and what he thinks of the situation, and I totally agree. What he said was that when you're in Germany, or when Sancho's in Germany, he's not around all of the same environment he was growing up. He's not around his friends. He's not around as many distractions. So all he has there on his priority list at the top is football. And anything else after that is less than football, because his friends aren't at the top of the list. As bad as it sounds, his family won't be at the top of that list. It will be football. And when he's got football at the top of his list with no distraction, there's no, oh, bro, what you saying? You trying to come out tonight? In Germany, it's not going to be like that. He only has one thing to focus on. Whereas in England, I know Jadon Sancho, he's a London boy from Kennington, but he's in England, and with the accessibility everybody has, especially more affluent people, they have more money, they can get that last train ticket. They can just hop in a car. They can get a taxi all the way from Manchester to London if they really need to. They can do that like that. When you have those, when accessibility to the distractions, to the party life, to the staying up to 3 a.m. in a club, to doing all of that stuff for your friends, when that's so easily accessible, whether or not football is at the top of that list still, something is going to be creeping. Something's going to be there trying to get football off the top of that list. And when you have someone he's 23 years old, Jadon Sancho, when you have him on, what is it, 350, it's either 350 or 250 pounds a week. Add that to, my friend lives right down the road. Add that to, I'm so comfortable here. I know everybody. I know everything here. You're going to start to football is just going to slowly slow down. And Kevin Prince Boateng on Rio Ferdinand show summarized it perfectly. When you are in a place, when Jadon Sancho is in a place like Germany, he doesn't have the distractions there. So football is 100%. When he's at Manchester United, i.e. in England, i.e. closer to his friends, the football slowly starts going from 100% to 99%, 98, 7, 6, 5. It goes 90, it goes 80, and ever so slightly, he's going to find himself in a position where football just really isn't the main real priority. And I think personally, that's the situation that Jadon Sancho's in. That's why I think going back to Dortmund, the club that he made his name across Europe and across international football, is the best solution for him, because it eliminates the distractions that he has in England, and it takes him back to a place where he knows that he can do well, and he's done it before, and he just has to get back to a place where he's really fit, really mentally, physically healthy, enjoying his football again. That's why I think he should go on a loan. But I don't know. Wise says here, hi, and Sancho is already gone. Sancho is gone already. It's over. We know he's gone. Look, if this is coming out, that means it's come from a reliable source, whether that's whether that's Jadon Sancho, whether that's his entourage, his friends, his parents. I don't know where it's come from, but it has been reported. So I guess at the end of the day, we're going to have to concede defeat here, or Jadon Sancho is going to have to concede defeat, whether he looks at it that way or not, and accept that he's gone. Now, when Jadon Sancho leaves, or when a right winger leaves Manchester United, it leaves us in a position where we need to go and sign somebody else, or we need to get a replacement, or find someone who can fill the boots of Jadon Sancho. And I know he hasn't performed so well at Manchester United, so they won't just be filling the boots of the 5 assists he's got in 2.5 years or whatever. It will be the potential that Jadon Sancho came with. It will be trying to get our money's worth from that player as well, trying to get to the levels we thought Jadon Sancho could reach. And in the last couple of days, in the last week or so, we have been linked to a couple of players. Last week, we were linked with Federico Chiesa, who's currently at Juventus. I'm a massive fan of him. And in the last couple of days, we have been linked to Wolves and Portugal winger Pedro Neto. He has relatively recently just come back from a big injury. I think it kept him out either the whole of last season or the majority of last season, maybe even a bit before. But nevertheless, he has been playing football recently. He scored against... He didn't score against City because that was an own goal. He was the reason for the own goal, but he scored in the match before. He's a brilliant player. He's still very young, has a very high ceiling, and it's no shock that Liverpool were linked with him. Arsenal were linked with him ages ago. From even a few years ago when he was just bursting onto the scene at Wolves, you could see the potential there. You could see that he was a very direct winger. He had a lot of pace, a lot of confidence in himself. He's great on the ball as well in terms of I don't know how to describe it. Okay, we have Rashford. At the moment, I don't think he's playing very well. There's a certain thing he does if he gets the ball right on the byline. I feel like if Rashford gets the ball right on the byline, he does this thing where he stops and just... These are his legs. He does that thing with his leg where he just does that and then plays a pass. I'm not a fan of that. I want him to get the ball and run. With Neto, there's not so much of what Rashford does. It's more of I'm going to get the ball, I'm going to attack the space, I'm going to help create an opportunity for my team as soon as possible. I'm a massive fan of him as well, and I definitely wouldn't be against that signing, but I don't think it's something that can happen. But there are 2 other players which I have been keeping an eye on. There's one player which I've been looking at for about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, since Real Madrid loaned him out. And there is a player from the Championship, actually, who I honestly, honest to God, discovered him on the first day of the season. Maybe it was a couple of days before the first day of the season. I discovered him on Football Manager, but he goes by the name of Rowe, and he plays for Norwich. He's had a blistering start to the season. He's a winger, but for some reason he can play defensive midfield, and he's only 20 years old, and he's left-footed. So a left-footed left winger. I don't know if that's the direction that maybe Ten Hag or maybe someone else in the backroom staff setup wants to do, but I'm a massive fan of the wingers having the whatever side of their pitch they're on as their natural foot. And I think Jonathan Rowe would fit that perfectly. He's an exciting young player. This season already he's got 5 goals in the Championship. Look, it would be a punt. It would be a big risk. It wouldn't cost us too much. I don't see why we wouldn't or shouldn't go for a player like this. I think this is a player that we previously would have gone for. And before anybody says, oh, Manchester United don't sign players from the Championship, we signed Nick Powell, it didn't work out. Not everything works out. But I think we should be looking at players like this. I think, yes, it's all good looking at the Rafael Leaos and the Mbappes and the Rodrigos and all of those top of the crop players. But I think Manchester United, what it's about is developing younger players and turning them into what we would now go out and buy or what we'd be linked with. I think with Jonathan Rowe, you have a 20-year-old there who's definitely good for the Championship. He's playing very well this season. Whether or not Norwich get promoted is a different story, but he's definitely going to be playing Premier League football next season. And why couldn't we do something like sign him and then loan him back out to get him the experience and have him come back as someone who's fit and ready to be playing or battling for a starting 11 spot? Because Sancho's definitely going, according to the news that he wants to rejoin Borussia Dortmund in January. So we do need to be looking at other winger options. And I think Rowe or Takefusa Kubo, sorry. I think Jonathan Rowe and Takefusa Kubo are two very good wing options who have a lot of potential and could come in and help us improve the way we play, help us get results, help us, I don't know, improve the morale of the team. Anything to help Manchester United improve on what they are now, I think we should be looking at. And of course, the players we have been linked with, Pedro Neto and Federico Chiesa. So yes, that is the news. So Jadon Sancho wants to rejoin Borussia Dortmund in January, according to Graham Bailey. We've been linked to Pedro Neto and Federico Chiesa, and of course Takefusa Kubo and Jonathan Rowe are players that I like myself. If we signed any one of them, I'd be relatively happy. Obviously there is an order, but I haven't come up with that yet. But what are you guys thinking? Are you happy that Jadon Sancho is going to be leaving in January? Do you believe that Jadon Sancho is going to be leaving in January? I guess out of the 4 names that I've listed, you've got Chiesa, Neto, Rowe, and Kubo. Out of those 4, who would you want to come in to replace Jadon Sancho? Let me know in the comment section down below. But I had a little bit of a segue there onto the next bit of news. Which and why is kind of nudging me in that direction. I don't think he knows it yet. But according to Miguel Delaney, Manchester United want to bring in Atletico Madrid sporting director Andrea Berta. They could face competition from Spurs and PSG. Now, as we know, the Glazers have, run this dictatorship since I think it was 05 or 04, 05 or 06, in which the Glazers somehow managed to acquire Manchester United. And ever since then, ever since David Gill left, we haven't really had that person above the manager who can work with the manager and really get the best out of everything available and all of the facilities and all of the extra help a person above the manager can give. We haven't had that since David Gill and Sir Alex Ferguson left. So the fact that we've been linked with Andrea Berta, who's the current sporting director at Atletico Madrid, I think is a bit of good news. Whether or not it's positive spin on what's been a relatively poor, run of games and Manchester United fans aren't really feeling happy, or whether or not it's just fake news or real news or just someone's leaking a piece of rubber. I don't know what it is that Manchester United are linked with sporting director from Atletico Madrid, and I think this can help us. Why would it not help us is what I'm saying. It's been way too long. The fact that we're still linked and not having someone already there is a big enough problem in itself. But I think he can come in and do well. Look, whether or not you like Diego Simeone or the way Atletico Madrid play, they are an effective team. They've won 2 La Liga titles during the dominance of Real Madrid and Barcelona. They've been in 2 Champions League finals in the last 10 years in which they've lost to Real Madrid, well, both of them. They're playing quite well at the moment. I think, me personally, Diego Simeone is a great manager. He has been. You don't stay at a club doing that well for that long if you're not a great manager. He has a good team there. They always seem to recruit brilliant players. And that is the one thing, whether or not you like Atletico Madrid, they are good at. They've recruited a good few world-class players. Recently, I think, when I say recently, I'm talking about in the last 10, 11, 12 years. Most notably, Anton Griezmann, who they signed from Atletico Madrid. What's his name? Jose Maria Jimenez, Jan Oblak. Who's the one in the middle? Who's that one? There is another player in the middle. There's a player on the left. He's Yannick Carrasco. I'd say those are a few of the bigger names that have gone on to be some of the better players in their position in European football. And they were all scouted and recruited by Andrea Berta. He has a proven track record of helping his manager out very, very well, very systematically, very meticulously in terms of, I need this specific player, I need this player profile to come into my team and help improve the team, help me win trophies. And he's done that, and he has a proven track record of it. So he's not someone that's going to come in from it's not like, when Rio Ferdinand, for example, was linked with the sporting director role or the director of football. It's not like any of that. It's not jobs for the boys, as some people say. It's going out there and looking at the best of the best. Look at the top clubs, or look at the clubs who've been performing in a certain area exceptionally well over the past decade. Who's in charge of that department? At Atletico Madrid, it's Andrea Berta. You had Paul Mitchell as well, who's apparently left or about to leave Monaco. You have him as well, who we've been linked with. He has a proven track record of delivering what he needs to deliver. I'm happy that we're looking at these guys. A lot of people. I didn't know who Andrea Berta. I didn't know the name of him. Obviously, most or pretty much all of the big clubs have these staff members, and he is one of them. I didn't know who he was. Didn't know his name. But after doing a bit of research, I can easily find out he's responsible for all of these world-class players coming into Atletico Madrid and thriving and improving and developing themselves and players around them. If he wasn't there, they might not be there. Why would we not go and get him? Why would it be a bad thing? Do you guys think the sporting director from Atletico Madrid is good enough to come to Manchester United, even given the players that he's brought in? Do you want him at Manchester United? Do you think we should wait for Paul Mitchell? Do you think we should go and get someone else? Do you even think we should get Ralf Rangnick back in the sporting director role? I don't know, but let me know in the comments down below. Wyatt says we need a new winger and centre-back in January. We definitely need a new centre-back in January. And I have a few tweets in my drafts on my account, just ranting about stuff. And centre-backs was one of the topics. You're looking at, I've got a list of 2 or 3 centre-backs who I think would improve Manchester United yesterday. You've got Bastoni, young, 24, I think, relatively young, from Inter Milan. You've got Antonio Silva from Benfica. And you've got Inacio, I believe, from Sporting, also in the Portuguese league. But off the top of my head, that's just 3 centre-backs who I think could come in and improve us. Because, yeah, we have Varane, we have Martinez, we have Maguire, we have Lindelof, we have Evans, we have Shaw, who can play as cover. But Shaw's injured. Lindelof, I don't think, is good enough to be a starting centre-back in a team that we want to be challenging for titles and trophies. We have Rafael Varane, who's always injured. Martinez is currently injured. Luke Shaw's currently injured. Johnny Evans, I think, is a reliable player. I don't think he's going to be someone that makes big mistakes, but I also don't think he's someone that's on the level of a Rafael Varane. I think he's just Mr. Reliable. And then you have Maguire, who recently hasn't been playing very well, and recently, in terms of the last year and a half to 2 years, he hasn't been playing too well, and rightly so. He was dropped. He was stripped of the captaincy, and it was given to Bruno Fernandes. I don't think Maguire has that much of a future at Manchester United. So why? You're definitely right. We need a new centre-back in January. We also need a new winger, which I just spoke about. The two names which we have been linked with within the last week are Federico Chiesa and Pedro Neto. And then you've got two names of players which I think Manchester United should sign. Jonathan Rowe from Norwich in the Championship, and Takefusa Kubo from Real Sociedad, former Barcelona and Madrid player. So he has, he obviously must be quite good if he's been at Barcelona and Madrid and he's tearing up. But I think he's just won La Liga Player of the Month as well. So those are some wingers that we could possibly sign. And then, of course, Antonio Silva, Andrea Bastoni, I believe his name is, and Inacio, two from the Portuguese league, and one very, very promising centre-back from Inter Milan, who's actually, honestly, one of the better centre-backs in the league right now. So if we manage to get someone in like Andrea Berta, a director of football, soon, who's to say we couldn't go and sign these types of players who Manchester United may not have signed before? Because we have someone there overseeing things. We have someone there looking in the right places. We have someone there who has a track record and who other people can trust. Because you have to think about this as well. With Manchester United, we obviously get messed around in the transfer market. I don't know if it was Richard Arnold or John Murta who came out in the summer and said, I can't remember who it was about, by the way, but there was a valuation for a specific player who we were trying to sign. When we inquired, or when they inquired themselves, it went up by a stupid amount because we were Manchester United, and they were told it's because they're Manchester United. I don't think it's because we're Manchester United. I think it's because other teams know that we have we have imbeciles. We have idiots controlling the way transfers work and controlling negotiations. That's why I think we get taken advantage of. That's why I think we don't sign the players we actually go out to sign. We're not signing first choices. We're not doing this or that. And I think it goes down not to it being Manchester United, not to, honestly, not the Glazers, and honestly, not the manager as well. I think it's the actual people walking into those negotiation rooms, sending the emails. They're idiots. They've proven to us many, many times that they're idiots. They don't know what they're doing. They can't handle it. One of them's gone, Ed Woodward, but we've still got two left. And I think bringing someone in with the European pedigree that they have at a very, very, very well-established European side, at a club who are very well known for producing brilliant players and improving players very well. Why would other clubs then see Andrea Berta and think, yeah, we can mess them around? They wouldn't be able to. They wouldn't be able to do that. I think bringing someone in with that pedigree instantly changes the way our transfer market operates. And maybe I'm being naive. I obviously don't know everything that goes on, but I think it makes a massive, massive difference. So I'm definitely for it. Whether or not we're linked to Paul Mitchell as well, again, or someone else that we don't know about is a different story. But for the time being, according to Miguel Delaney, Manchester United want to bring in Atletico Madrid sporting director Andrea Berta. They could face competition from Spurs and PSG. Do you guys want a sporting director? Do you guys want Berta? Do you guys want Mitchell? Do you guys think we're going to sign a sporting director? Or do you guys think this is all just a load of rubbish to get Manchester United fans happy again, to get our heads turning to turn those frowns upside down? Because I know it will work. I know it won't work on some people, but we just have to remain optimistic. Now, moving on to another report from Miguel Delaney. He is saying that Joel and Avram Glazer still aren't ready to sell Manchester United. What are they waiting for? What are they waiting for? I don't know what they're waiting for. That was a dramatic pause, by the way. I don't know what they're waiting for, because what we've learned within the past few days is that the bids probably won't be going up to 6 billion. Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his consortium, along with Ineos, I believe, are looking to keep the Glazers in their roles, but not with like the power that they have now. So they will be looking at so the consortium, along with Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, will be looking at submitting a lower bid. The Qatari bid is around 5 billion. I don't know the number to the penny, but it's around 5 billion pounds. And that's the highest bid so far. I think the Glazers are waiting for a 6 billion pound bid, which I don't think will come, because if Sir Jim Ratcliffe doesn't improve on what the Qataris have offered, then it's going nowhere. I don't think that they are going to keep the club. I think they've gone way too far in terms of, we're putting the club on the market. The fact that they put the club on the market, I think, was them. We're done. They just want as much money as possible, or for a final kick in the nuts, they're going to wait until the dividends can be withdrawn again, and they will take that and then sell. I don't know what they're trying to do. But I will say, from my personal opinion, I think that's spin. I think that's terrible. Boxing Sage says, my friend, there's no director of football coming. It's all spin. But this is what I mean. I don't think it's spin. I just don't think it's something for right now. I think a lot of people are getting ready for new owners, and a lot of people are anticipating some actions that the new owners might take. One being, hiring a director of football. Another, there might be many things that the Qataris want to do. They might have already spoken about it. We don't know how far along it's been. We don't know what's true or not, what's not true. Remember, anything that you read is something that someone has allowed you to know. It's not something that people might have gathered. Oh, I've been sneaking, got this, I'm going to leak it. One, that's illegal. And two, there's so many risks of defamation. You could get sued. You could get criminal record. You could get all of that stuff. Anything that gets published, or 99.9% of the news that gets published, especially around an establishment or an institution as big as Manchester United, is news that they've allowed you to know. It's news that someone has purposely said to someone else, whether or not it's on or off the record. They've said it to someone, they've typed it to someone. I don't know, but it's news that we've been allowed to find out. So that's why I think all of these little pieces of the director of football, the new owners, the Jadon Sancho, it can all merge into one thing, which I think goes back to the Qataris. I think it all goes back to, okay, I have a scenario here for you. The Qataris are coming in 2 months. They know that stuff takes time to process. They can't release that information yet because of whatever reason. The Glazers are drawing attention back to the sale of the club by releasing, or someone's released false information saying that they don't want to sell. That's step one. It gets the fans going again. It gets the fans excited for or trying to prepare another stadium. What is it called? Not a riot, a protest, or when they're on a pitch. People might get excited for that. They might start doing that. That's step one. We've suddenly been linked to a director of football, or out of nowhere. Who knows? We might genuinely be talking. We might be emailing him right now. They might have just sent an email. We don't know. But that's step two. The Glazers aren't going to get a director of football in because they haven't before, and they're not going to do it now, especially when they're on the way out. And then we're looking at wingers. Jadon Sancho, I know, Sancho's not going to be doing this because of the Glazers, but it's perfect opportunity to get someone out in January and to bring someone else in January. Do the Glazers, or have the Glazers ever really been in January, the people or the club or the owners that say, we're going to go and spend 60 in January on a first team winger who's going to come in and improve us straight? No, they haven't. Those are three things in my head which add together to make one final piece of news in a couple of months, which is Glazers accept the bid, the club has new owners. I think it all links to that, and that's why I'm relatively positive. I'm not being negative about the Glazers are reluctant to sell, because they will. They just will. It's going on way too long now. They will either sell or change, so it can only be a positive from here, in my opinion. You got a director of football apparently being linked to us. That's something else. That's something else that I'm positive about, because that instantly improves Manchester United, the way they work, the structure. Well, him specifically, and the pedigree, the experience, the members' resources that he has. It all comes in and benefits Manchester United. And we're being linked to wingers as well. We've also been linked to centre backs. We've been linked to centre midfielders. Yes, we get linked to people all the time, but I'm talking concrete stuff. We're hearing numbers, and we're seeing specific players that, wow, he actually is going to work. It's not, we're linked to Messi, or we're linked back to Ronaldo in 2016. It's not like that. It's Pedro Neto. This could actually work out. It's Federico Chiesa. Oh, he's a blisteringly fast winger. He can come in and help Manchester United. These are transfer rumours that get people thinking. I'm seeing so much analysis on my Twitter timeline for these players that we're linked with, much more than I've seen before. And that's not just by chance. That's because these players come in and can improve us. They look like players who have been scouted and very specifically identified. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we could be possibly getting sold in a couple of months. I think it might have already happened in terms of these talks are way more advanced than we think, as in we the public. But I think it all links together, and that's just my take on that. If you think I'm crazy, let me know, but I think it makes perfect sense. Obviously, I wouldn't have said it if I didn't think it made perfect sense. But there's one other thing which I want to add to this, which I think could sway your opinion if you're disagreeing with me. Now, there was a report earlier from Miguel Delaney as well, saying officials at other clubs have been privately dismissive of Manchester United director of football John Murtough. Some have even questioned whether he would get such a lofty role elsewhere and if the job is too big for him. It is felt he doesn't have the contact base of some of his equivalents. You try and tell me all of this added together isn't going to result or equal the club getting sold within the next couple of months. All of this, it's so perfect. It's like a perfect storm. And on the other side of that big, dark, grey rain cloud is a nice big field of grass with 2 goalposts, Erik ten Hag, a director of football, new owners, a stadium being refurbished. All of this behind those big clouds being the director of football mess, the winger mess, the fact that the Glazers don't want to sell and they're teasing the fans. They don't care. They're apathetic towards the fan, but they don't care. All of that, I think, is just a big smokescreen. That's what I think, and that's what I think it is. Maybe I'm going crazy because Manchester United have driven me this way, but I think it's a smokescreen for bigger and better things. United have the king of spin working for them, Neil Ashton. He was the head of a sports writer. I know, didn't we hire him 3 years ago? They hired him when I was at uni, so that would have at most, what year is 2018? 5 years ago. 5 to 2 years ago they hired him. This is what I mean. It's spin. It is spin. The Glazers not wanting to sell. I think the director of football could be spin. I don't think it could be spin. But the reason I think it's spin is because after all of this, when the spinning stops, there has to be an outcome. There can't just be no outcome. There has to be an outcome. If you put 2 numbers into an equation, there is an outcome because there is an equal sign. You put the Glazers not wanting to sell. You put a director of football being linked to Manchester United. You put all of the other factors that you might not be happy with going on at Manchester United. And I think on the other side of that, on the other side of the equal sign, you get the Qataris own Manchester United. The Qataris are buying Manchester United. Because some of these things seem a bit too, why is this coming out? Because we get spin all the time. And we can understand some of it. After a loss, yeah, we're linked to someone. After a loss, yeah, this has been said to try and appease us. But this is a director of football. This isn't out of like, Manchester United have been speaking about a director of football for the last 3 weeks. This is out of nowhere. And it's a very specific one. It isn't just, Manchester United are looking at hiring a director of football. He's been name dropped. His club has been dropped. And Paul Mitchell as well. I don't think this is spin. And if it is, I think it's positive spin because I think we're going to come out on the other side of it with a good outcome that everybody, that everybody wants, which is the Glazers leaving Manchester United. Because why it says the Glazers need to go, I agree, and I would assume and hope that everybody watching here agrees as well. Do you know much about the director of football at Atletico? I don't know him by name, didn't know what he looked like. I knew he was there. I knew he existed. Listen, when I was younger, when I say younger, I mean when Atletico Madrid were in the Champions League finals around that time. I liked Atletico Madrid. I liked watching them because I've always liked Courtois for some reason. When he was on loan at Atletico Madrid, I watched a lot, or as many games as I could. I liked the players they had. I've always been a fan of Griezmann as well. I liked That's embarrassing. I can't remember his name now. Thiago, because Neymar nutmegged him once and I felt bad. And I liked Thiago as well because of his FIFA card. So I've always been watching Atletico Madrid. I've always enjoyed watching them. And also because I didn't used to like Real Madrid and Barcelona kind of annoyed me. So Atletico Madrid were my team. And when I'd see them making signings, it wouldn't be something that was reported the same way as a Manchester United signing. It would be almost like a Brighton one. We know when Brighton sign players, they sign Caicedo, they sign McAllister, they sign all these players. But they also just seem to sign other players. Like when they got rid of Caicedo and they had Baleba, he just appeared. And Atletico Madrid worked kind of in the same way. Jose Maria Jimenez, I've wanted him at Manchester United. Not anymore, but I wanted him at Manchester United for a few years. He just appeared out of nowhere at Atletico Madrid. Reinildo, I think, is their defender now. He just appeared at Atletico Madrid. A lot of their players that have gone on to do very good things or be very successful at that club have just appeared. And a lot of those players, which I found out in the last couple of days, were scouted or recommended by the director of football. I honestly can't remember his name now. What is his name? Andrea Berta. They were recommended or they were brought in by him. I didn't know that. I just know they were brought in by a specific person. So to now find out it was him, to put a face to the name, it's quite nice. It's a bit nostalgic for me, I guess, which is why I'm getting a little bit excited. But yeah, Spencer says, I seen signings Atletico have made, but never really paid that much attention to them. And that's because they go about their business in a very astute way. It's so nice and neat and professional. The complete opposite to Manchester United. Spencer also says Mitchell was linked before when Ranić was here. It didn't happen. I knew that wouldn't happen. Like you could tell with Ranić he was going to get kicked out of the club very soon because of the way he was talking. It was great because he was exposing people, but it was way too reckless. You could just tell. As soon as he opened his mouth, it was like, oh God, I know I want you to say this, and I'm happy you're saying it, and I'm so glad because now I'm winning arguments. Now you're backing me up. But at the same time, there's a reason no one's ever said that before. You know what's going to happen. He said it and he left. He left by mutual consent. He obviously got kicked out. Spencer says, sorry, I meant by the work he's done. Like, does he have a good reputation or is it another? No, he has a good reputation. He's been at Atletico Madrid for a very long time and he's bought in. I'm going to see, do you know what? I'm going to see if I can find what I was looking at earlier and then I will retweet it on my page. Oh, do you know what? Talk of mufcMPB being the GOAT. One of the presenters, Ash Meppers, was the guy whose thread that I found. Just by chance. Because I have more than one Twitter account. And I don't... like on my other one, I don't follow anyone. I just like look at stuff. I will take you through the list of players that Andrea Berta was responsible for bringing in at Atletico Madrid. It's quite a long list, and the prices are on here as well. All credit goes to the research for Ash Meppers, by the way, who was presenting yesterday, and I believe he is presenting again on Saturday. So he is definitely knowledgeable. But you've got Jose Maria Jimenez from Danubio FC in 2013. He was brought in for £896,000. You got David Villa from Barcelona, £1.89 million. Griezmann from Sociedad, Jan Oblak from Benfica, Carrasco from Monaco, Diogo Jota, bet you didn't know he played for Atletico Madrid, Rodri from Villarreal, Thomas Lamar from Monaco. Remember that Monaco side with Mbappe, Bernardo Silva, Fabinho, Mendy, Bakayoko, Subasic, Jibril Sidibe, Kamil Glick, Radamel Falcao, Lamar. Did I just name their entire team? Oh, that one Brazilian centre back's name I can't remember. I think it was like Wanderson or something. I don't know. Joao Felix from Benfica, Marcos Llorente from Real Madrid, Alvaro Morata from Chelsea, and Rodrigo de Paul from Udinese. Those are some of the more notable names that Andrea Berta has been responsible for bringing in. I know you will know probably all of the names on that list and you can make your own mind up about them, but whether you like them or not, what we can agree on is that they are all very, very good players. They came to Atletico Madrid. They might not have reached their peak at Atletico Madrid, like say a David Villa or a Diogo Jota or Rodri or probably Marcos Llorente as well. But what you can say about them is that they are all very successful in their own right. You've got a World Cup winner in there. You've got a Champions League winner. You've got a Euros winner. You've got World XI players. Did Diogo Jota win the Champions League with Liverpool? I don't think so. But yeah, you've got winners in there. And he's brought them in. He's identified them. And I love David Villa. He's identified them and known that, yeah, these are going to be great for Atletico Madrid. I'm going to get these guys in. But yeah, like, he has reputation. He has European pedigree. He has worldwide pedigree. There's some players there from outside of Europe. Diogo Jota, wrong name. Jose Maria Jimenez, for example. Look, he has it. He has the pedigree. He has something that Manchester United are missing desperately. And I think we should get him in. But maybe that's because of my bias towards I love Atletico Madrid. Maybe that's my bias there. But he does have the experience and he does have the know-how. So I don't know. But if do I say that? Magic? I don't even know if that's a word. Magically, yeah, that is a word. Magically, if we do, for some reason get him in before January, he could help identify someone to replace Sancho. I don't know. But listen, that's all news for now. There's nothing concrete there. It's not we're getting him tomorrow or he's already signed the papers. This is just news coming out, and I'm a fan of it. But as I said, I think it's all spin in terms of positive spin, getting people excited and ready for the new owners. That's what I think it is. But that's just my opinion. But moving on, we have a report here from Alex Crook. Erik ten Hag is taking a softer approach to try and rescue Manchester United. He feels confidence amongst his players is so low that he has become reluctant to show his anger in the dressing room for fear of doing more damage to morale. Oh my God. So basically what Manchester United has become is a nursery full of bitches, and I'm not surprised. I'm surprised this news is coming out, and I'm surprised Erik ten Hag, if true, is going down this route, because I took him as someone who was stubborn but in a good way. I don't think this is good news at all, to be honest. I don't think it's good news at all because, yes, look, okay. I'll be positive first. Yeah, if he, decides to be more approachable, be softer, not shout as much, not be so specifically aggressive. And by specifically aggressive, I mean talking about specific players in press conferences and maybe doing that in front of the team in the dressing room. I don't know. If we do get results from doing that, then I think it just goes straight back to the player power. Because we've all been kids before. We've all had strops, and then, we thought, oh, if I carry on being stroppy, I'm going to get my own way. And then we eventually do get our own way. We've all been guilty of that as children, as adults, as professional footballers who are earning millions every month, who are so lucky, hard work or not, you are so lucky to be playing for Manchester United. Millions of people around the world would cut off their left hand to play for Manchester United, would do unspeakable things just to run on the pitch and be a part of the team for 2 minutes at the end of a match against a League Two side. You've got all of these players, all of these people desperate, working like nothing has ever been worked before to even get the chance of being looked at by Manchester United. But yet you've got players in the changing room who are just, oh, he shouted at me, I'm not going to play. Oh, he shouted at me, I'm upset now. It's infuriating. I've tried to be positive for as long as possible, but I can't. It's actually infuriating. I think it's a negative because, yes, if we get results from this, It's player power, because then we get results from this. The players are going to think, oh yeah, what we think is right. What we think is the best way forward. So from now on, what we're going to do is what we want to do. Where's the longevity for Ten Hag there? Where's the sustainability for Ten Hag there? There is none. There is no sustainability for Erik Ten Hag there, because anything he does is now undermined publicly, by the way, and maybe he doesn't garner the respect that he once had. Maybe he doesn't have as much respect from the players that he's managing. I can understand why something like this is coming out from Alex Crook. I'll read through it again, by the way. Erik Ten Hag is taking a softer approach to try and rescue Manchester United. He feels confidence amongst his players is so low that he has become reluctant to show his anger in the dressing room for fear of doing more damage to morale. Just get rid of Ten Hag then. Like, if he's having to pander to these players because they're divas and they're earning 300k a week, but they can't handle being shouted at, then just leave. Just leave. Get someone in. Get Ollie back. You might as well just get Ollie back, because he probably didn't shout at the players and they're probably happier, but we weren't winning anything. Just get Ollie back. If the players just want to be happy, then cool. Don't worry about the manager. I might as well be the manager, because listen, I watch you guys every week. I love you lot. I'm going to be all smiles. I'm going to make all of you guys laugh every day. Oh, forget about the drills. You guys are happy, because they obviously don't like the training. They obviously don't like the way training is being done. They obviously don't like the way instructions are being put across. They obviously don't like the things that Erik Ten Hag are doing. So why is Erik Ten Hag there? If he's having to think, I can't even shout at him, because if I shout at him, it's not going to resolve anything. It's just going to make it worse. What's the point? What is the point? A manager has a play style. Yes, managers adapt. Managers adapt all the time. Sir Alex Ferguson adapted. But Erik Ten Hag is Erik Ten Hag. If the way he's been successful at Ajax is the way he is managing at Manchester United now, but the players who are arguably better position by position than what he had at Ajax can't handle it, leave. Just leave. I'm not saying I want Ten Hag to leave, but if this is the route they're going down, and if this is the route that he's having to go down, then just leave, because you're obviously not going to be able to fulfill your prophecy at Manchester United the way you want to do it, and the way you know for you and the players around you it will work best. These players are ignorant. I think they're stuck up. Honestly, I think they're a disgrace. Some of you might have started watching a David Beckham documentary, but I'm on the first episode. But what he spoke about very early on was the way Sir Alex Ferguson worked. These players wouldn't last a minute in Sir Alex Ferguson. You got players coming in their fancy cars and in their trainers. You got pictures almost every week of Rashford, or not Rashford every week, but he was the first person that came to my mind. You got pictures almost every week of our players just doing shit, just doing stuff that maybe they shouldn't be doing. You don't get where's De Bruyne? De Bruyne's at home with his wife and his kid, relaxing. He's rehabilitating. He's probably doing homework. I don't know what he's doing, but whatever he's doing is working, because he's one of the best, if not top 3 players in world football, and has been for a very long time. Look at Haaland. He walks around the street in broad daylight by himself, just minding his own business. Yeah, he had that one video where he was younger and blah-de-blah-de-blah. He got kicked out of a club. But we haven't seen that since. He's keeping himself where he needs to be. He's keeping himself focused on what the priority is. Lingard didn't. I don't know why I said Lingard, but Lingard didn't. Sancho isn't. Rashford isn't. Malacia listen. Malacia himself said that he doesn't like going out. He's a family man. He likes to be inside. But since he came to Manchester United, I'm seeing Rashford and Malacia just doing up Ferrari pictures in LA and in. I don't know what it is. I do know what it is. It's the individual personalities, the individual bigger personalities in this club, the bigger players that are influencing the other players. Because when you go to a new workplace, when you go to a new football club, when you go to a new environment and there's already people there, already established people, there's obviously going to be, the top dogs, we're here, we like everyone, we get the social butterflies. Then you're going to have the quiet people. What's naturally going to happen is whoever's actually in charge is going to say to the people who are more, well-known, who are more popular, listen, take him under your wing. Make sure he feels comfortable. Make sure he feels at home. Make sure he feels welcome. This is, it's Manchester United. Make sure he feels comfortable. We want him to play well, blah, 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 blah. Be his friend. You got Rashford doing that. Malacia, as I said himself in an interview, I like staying inside. I don't like going out that much. He comes to Manchester United now. Bromance with Rashford. Fit pics. Ferrari, Lambo pics outside and doing all of... I think the proof is right there. The proof is in the pudding right there. And I don't think it's just Rashford. I'm just saying that because, those two are friends. They're pictured to be friendly together, blah, blah, blah. But I think you have other players in that dressing room, like Rashford, who might not be as, popular to the English media, but there definitely are players there who are like him. Lingard was one of them. Those two are very, very close. Sancho is definitely one of them as well. And I think all of these guys are just doing the wrong things. They're prioritizing the wrong things. They're not focusing on what they need to be focused on enough. As I said, but I'm going to say De Bruyne again. When do you really ever see De Bruyne posting the workout videos? When do you really ever see De Bruyne posting videos of him exercising or training in his back garden? You don't. Because he doesn't need to. Because he's performing. And the reason he's performing is because he's doing all of that work anyway. He's doing the work that he needs to do in silence. He's doing it at Manchester City, at the training facilities. He's doing it in his own time. He doesn't feel the need to post it on social media to show everybody that he's doing it because he just performs on the pitch. And I say this to my friend all the time. Look, I play a lot of games. I play FIFA. I play Call of Duty. I think I'm quite good at games, but some of my friends I know aren't as good as me. And I say this in a jovial way, a joking way to my friend. We play a lot of Call of Duty or games like that. When he gets a win, he will post it like on Instagram. He'll send it to me on iMessage. Won't shut up about it for a long time. And I have a few friends that do this. When I get a win, I'm happy. I'm really happy. Yeah, I'm winning, but I'm not posting it online. And that's because I'm used to getting the wins. So De Bruyne is used to playing well on the pitch. De Bruyne is used to the training. He's used to the hard work that goes into it. With these other players now who feel the need to make these edits and these compilations and these montages of them doing high knees on the beach or doing kick-ups on the beach, that's because I don't think they're used to it. I don't think they're used to putting in that extra hard work that all of these elite players just do in their sleep. That's why I don't think this is the right environment for a lot of players. I don't think... I don't think Manchester United players put in the work that they're meant to put in, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's tricky. We have a lot to learn from other clubs, other players. We have to understand. The players have to understand. Well, to be fair, they probably already know, but it's difficult for them to change it. It's difficult to change habits. But there's a reason the top players, top players, aren't posting those training videos. They're not posting those little montages as much. Yeah, they might because they have brand deals and they have people who make them for them, so they post them because they're nice. But listen, keep an eye out for it, because when someone's posting the kick-ups and the top bins in their garden every other day, it's because they're not used to it. It's because it's not the type of stuff they're used to doing, so they're excited. They're really excited. Oh, look what I've done. Look, I've just trained a little bit more, so I'm going to post it. I want everyone to see that I'm doing it. I can see through it. I can see right through it. And you can tell, because on the pitch, on match day, you can see who's been doing all the extra training, who's been doing the extra training. You can see the difference. It's clear as day. There's a reason we're struggling. There's a reason Man City have won 5 league titles in 6 years. There's a reason they won the treble, because their players, the core of their team, the spine of their team, yeah, they have fun. They're going out, but to be honest, they won everything they can. Ederson, never hear from him on social media. Never see him on social media. Don't know what John Stones does on social media. I've seen Ruben Diaz a couple times. Kyle Walker, yeah, he had that weird thing, but other than that, you don't really see him. Rodri doesn't have social media. Jack Grealish is that guy in that team that is more like me, more like us. He has a lot of fun, yeah. Every place needs that, but every place has to have that in moderation. Manchester City have the perfect balance. Phil Foden, don't really see much of him in terms of the stuff that he shouldn't really be doing. Don't even know if Julian Alvarez has social media. Erling Haaland, he's a machine. He trains and trains and trains. De Bruyne, I've spoken about. Bernardo Silva, the only videos you'll see of him on social media are of him in public, just minding his own business. There's a difference. Look at Manchester United. The comparison in the amount of followers City players have to United players is huge. Yeah, it is huge because we're Manchester United. We have a bigger global fan base. We have a bigger outreach. So anybody who signs for Manchester United is instantly going to be getting more followers from the people that follow Manchester United. But there's just a massive difference because go through that Manchester United team now. You've got Marcus Rashford. Do you know what? I'm struggling to think of this Manchester United team. You've got Højlund up front. Honestly, he's new. I don't know too much about him personally. I only know what he can do on the football pitch. You've got Anthony, who's guilty of the little compilations all the time of the little spins and all of that stuff. Rashford, yeah, we've spoken about. You've got Wan-Bissaka, who I know through someone. He's humble. He's a normal guy. Don't have anything to say about him. You've got Harry Maguire. We've had this circus for a while now, so he's him. You've got Victor Lindelof. He's a nice, humble guy, but unfortunately, he's just not good enough. I don't think. You've got Rafael Varane. I think he's a normal guy as well. You've got Bruno Fernandes. Look, I think this is an interesting one because he's someone who's very active on social media, but not in the sense of posting training videos, not in the sense of showing off that he's actually done some training. I think more from him and maybe a few other Manchester United players, it's sponsors and it's brands and it's Q&As and stuff like that. But in general, I think with Manchester United players, we're just not focused. We're just not having the right priorities. And I think it's a big, big problem. And it's showing on the pitch. Honestly, I rambled on for a very, very long time now. But we were originally speaking about the fact that Erik ten Hag is taking a softer approach to try and rescue Manchester United. He feels confidence amongst his players is so low that he has become reluctant to show his anger in the dressing room for fear of doing more damage to morale, because we have bitches in the dressing room. That's why. Because the players that we should be signing that are first choice for the manager aren't the players that we're acquiring. And maybe that's down to the fact that we have incompetent owners. Maybe that's down to the fact that we don't actually have as big a budget as people think we do. Maybe it's down to the fact we don't have a director of football. Who knows? But as I said before, I'm doing a peel paragraph here. If you don't know what a peel paragraph here is, it's point, evidence, explanation, and link back. I'm going to link this all back to the storm or the smokescreen I think Manchester United are putting out with the Glazers are reluctant to sell. We're linked to Atletico Madrid sporting director, and we're linked to wingers, and the fact that John Mercer's kind of being outed as someone who is incompetent by other clubs. I think this all links back to the Qataris. I think this all links back to the potential sale of Manchester United happening sooner than we think. I felt like I just spoke an English essay. I think if I wrote that down, that gets top marks. You're going to have to let me know if you agree or disagree. But if you do want to keep up to date with everything, not just my opinion, but the actual facts, make sure you do follow mufcMPB over on Twitter, or X as it is called now. At mufcMPB is the handle. But if you can't hear me for some reason, or you don't know how to spell that for whatever reason, all of the links to mine, Ash, Anil's, and mufcMPB's Twitters are in the description down below. So make sure you do give that a follow. Make sure you do leave a like on the video as well if you haven't already, and get as many questions in as you can for me to answer. But we do have a couple more things to talk about, so make sure you are comfortable. Everyone like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Why says Ten Hag will be sacked if we lose the next couple of games. Honestly, I don't think he will. Again, I think that's down to the Qataris. Spencer says the comparison in the amount of... Hope you're right. Let's attend the Glazers' funeral when the club is sold. I will be there. I will go and get a tailored suit. Oh, God. I cannot wait. Tailored suit with a leather jacket and black sunglasses, black shoes. I'm standing there because I'm just making sure that they're gone. I cannot... Honest to God, I think when the Glazers leave, the celebrations will be as big as if we won the Champions League. Because it's not just a... what's it called? a bit of joy that you get for the next couple of days. This is genuinely a lifetime of hopeful improvement that we could be looking at. So I don't know. I just don't know. I hope it's gonna happen, and I hope it does happen, and I hope it happens soon, because we are in a big mess, and I can't take this anymore. My mental health is deteriorating. But some more positive news. Manchester United, Casemiro has been named Manchester United's Player of the Month. It wasn't that difficult. To be honest, but I am happy for him. Yes, he has had a couple of bad games, but he also has had a couple of good games, and nobody else really has had any good games, because we have lost again. So listen, September's Player of the Month, you're kind of one of those ones where you can just think, oh, okay, I want it, but we haven't been doing anything of any sort of importance, so I'm not really gonna be too happy about this one. Let's hope, I guess, that the fact that he's won it is gonna boost his confidence a little bit, because we do need Casemiro to be playing at the highest of his level, because when he is, there isn't any better than him, and he has been the best in his position since 2016, I'd say, at the base of that legendary midfield that Real Madrid had when they did the three-peat. I honestly can't believe it. But yeah, Casemiro is Manchester United's September Player of the Month. So next, let me just see this comment from Zane. Ratcliffe doing the minority only benefits Joel and Avram. Others want to leave immediately. That's what I mean. The other Glazers, I think the daughter wants to leave, or the sister or whatever. I know there's another one. I think, isn't it 5 or 4? It's either 2 against 2 or 2 against 3. So yeah, Ratcliffe won't get Manchester United. He just won't. But moving on to a bit of maybe positive news, depending on how you feel towards the player right now. But according to Rob Dawson, who is a journalist for ESPN, Andre Onana is reluctant to take time away from Manchester United to play for Cameroon at the AFCON in January after a difficult start to his career at Manchester United. Now, whatever you make of Andre Onana, in terms of his footballing ability, in terms of what you think he's brought to Manchester United, whether you think he's improved us or worsened us, he's a confident guy, and you can tell. Well, you can tell he's a confident guy by the way he talks in his post-match interviews, in the way he comes across on the pitch. It turned out, it came out that after the Bayern Munich game, I believe it was, he apologised to his teammates in the dressing room for the mistake he made, which led to the Leroy Sané. Look, so he has confidence in his own ability, and he knows that when he isn't performing at that level, he has to say something. He has to, look, listen, I'm sorry, I'm trying, I'm improving. This isn't how I'm meant to be playing. I will improve. And I'm happy that we have someone like that. It's a breath of fresh air, a player that can take responsibility for their actions and not pass it to someone else and try and deflect. Look, he made a mistake and he owned up to it, and I'm happy. However, the mistakes have carried on. I think this is a result of low confidence. I also think this is a result of a very, very weak defence, just honestly allowing shots from 10 yards out centrally. I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but at the end of the day, he's the goalkeeper. He's the one that everybody's going to look at first when the ball goes past him. We all know that he got sent home early from the World Cup because he had a disagreement with Rigobert Song, who is the Cameroon manager, but since then, he has gone back and he might be playing at the AFCON. I think if he had a very good start to the season, if he carried on his form from Inter Milan last year, he'd be going. But the fact that he hasn't had a very good start to the season, and I can say that, he can say that, everybody can say that. I don't think it's as bad as people think. As I said, the goalkeeper's the first person you look at when you concede 4 goals, but why is someone getting 2-3 shots off from the penalty spot? Those are the type of things you have to look at. And I honestly think in his head, if he goes to the AFCON now, it might be looked upon as like a cowardly move. It might be looked upon as he's just trying to get out of Man United for a little bit. But he wants to stay and prove himself. He wants to show everybody why he's here. why we signed him, why Ten Hag wanted him back again after playing for him at Ajax, why we paid the money we did, why he has been nominated for the Golden Glove, or I don't know, well, the Ballon d'Or, but for keepers, like, you know, the best goalkeeper, the best defender, striker, midfield, why he's been nominated for that position. He wants to show us why, and I'm happy, and I hope he can, and I believe he will. I'm very confident in his ability, and I'm confident he will improve and the players around him will improve, because it can't get much worse than this. But that's why I think he's debating going. As I said, I think if he started the season in excellent form, he'd definitely be off to the AFCON, because he's given Manchester United a taste of what he's good at, what he can do, and the saves, the distribution, the confidence, the claiming crosses. He's done all of that. That's, I think, why he would have gone to the AFCON. But he knows players, fans are on him. Fans are on his back. Pundits are on his back. The media, the newspapers, the podcast, everybody's on him because he's the keeper, and we've been conceding a lot. But as I said, they're not all his fault. I'll die on that hill that all the goals aren't his fault. Not all of them. Obviously, the couple of mistakes, yes. But that's why I think he might be staying or missing out on the AFCON. But listen, I want him to do well at Manchester United, and I want him to be honest, I want him to go to the AFCON. I believe being a professional footballer, especially from a smaller country that isn't maybe represented as well on the global football stage, I think when you play for that, you look, Africans play for their country with a greater sense of pride than I think a lot of other countries do. And of course, he's from Cameroon, which means he's African. When you come from a place that doesn't have the facilities that a first world country has, when you're struggling when you're younger, when you're hungry all the time, when football is the only way out, when you then make it to that point where, oh God, I could potentially win a trophy, or I could take my country to the World Cup, you don't miss up on that opportunity. So the fact that he's there, should I go or should I stay? I think it's a big indication as to where his confidence lies, and I just don't think it's that high at the moment. But look, I want him to do well. I don't have anything against him. I'm not berating him or saying he's rubbish or any of this and that. I'm a big fan of Onana. However, I do also think that he might need to be dropped, which is why I said there. Onana needs to be dropped against Brentford. I don't know if he needs to be dropped against Brentford. I don't think he should have played in the Champions League game. I think that role, especially for the group stages and maybe the round of 16 quarters, if we get there, I'm talking like we're going to go all the way, but I think that should be Beyunda's role, because there will come a point where Beyunda has to play. And if it's February and he hasn't played a game, what do you expect? What do you possibly expect from him? Yes, usually clubs only have one keeper, and their second keeper might play League Cup, maybe. But more often than not, a keeper is just there. That's their spot. But we have two keepers. Onana's a world-class keeper, and he has been a world-class keeper for 18 months around that. He was very, very good at Ajax as well. And we do have a very good younger keeper in Beyunda as well. And I think he could be someone that comes in and challenges Onana. I don't think, challenge in the sense of he's going to take Onana's spot in 2 weeks. I mean challenge in the sense of, Onana needs to look over his shoulder a little bit. He's not right here, but he's a little bit back there. He's creeping a little tiny bit. So I think Beyunda should have played against Galatasaray as well. He came from Turkey. He's Turkish. It might have been different from him. Maybe, I don't know if Onana's played against Turkey. I don't know. So many different factors that could have come into the equation. But I just think Beyunda should have played. That's not Onana getting dropped. That's just Onana getting rested. Errol Vela, hello. Onana is struggling due to a makeshift and consistently changing backline. The consistent injuries and chopping and changing of his backline doesn't help him to gain confidence and progress. 100%. You can't build on anything if you're just constantly removing the blocks at the bottom of the pyramid. Imagine they tried to build the pyramid, but every week they were like, let's change that brick. It's going to fall. It's going to fall down. And that's what's happening at Manchester United. You've got, one right back who's fully fit, Diogo Dalot. No left back. Martinez is out. Varane just came back. Evans, as I said, he's very reliable. He's a good defender. He's not the best, but he's not terrible. He's just good, quite good. He's been a very, very, very reliable Premier League centre-back for his whole career. and we have him back now. Probably not something which you guys thought might have happened, but he's here. And you have Harry Maguire, who I think it's time for him to leave the club. When whoever's playing, I think it needs to be the same players until we get our first choice players back. I think, okay, put Lindelof at left back because he's done that. He's played left back a couple of times recently. If you're going to have Lindelof there, put him there. Get him more used to the role. Get him more comfortable in that role whilst we don't have any other options there. Play Maguire, play Evans. Just stick with one of them. At this time, one of them has to be Rafael Varane's partner. It just has to be the case. I would personally go with Maguire and Varane because they've played together before, and statistically they are quite good together. We don't concede a lot. We don't lose. We haven't lost at all when they've played together, actually. So that would be the centre-back partnership I go for. And then Dalot in his natural position, of course, at right-back. But what's happening, you're getting Dalot at left-back, Dalot at right-back, Lindelof right centre-back, left centre-back, Amrabat left-back. Maguire, is he playing, is he not? Where's Evans gone? I don't know where Evans has gone because he was playing, but now he's not. All of that's happening in front of Onana every single match, in the match as well. What's that going to do for Onana? Because when I've played football before. I say it a lot. I've played centre back before. The time I played centre back was the first time I played centre back. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. It took a few weeks, and then after a while, I knew where I was meant to be. I knew the angles. Sometimes I didn't even have to look because I knew my player was going to be there, or I knew the keeper would have made that angle for me. When you're getting 5 different centre back partnerships in 2.5 games, when you're getting a different left back who's probably not even there a lot of the time. Not saying that's bad from Amrabat. It means he's doing different things. And when you're having the right back there in Diogo Dalot, who's just always there, all of that chopping and changing isn't going to benefit anybody. It's not going to benefit Onana. It's not going to benefit the defenders. It's not going to benefit the midfielders, and so on and so forth. In the end, the whole team suffers because there's too much chopping and changing. I think, obviously, at this highest level in the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup, League Cup, you have to understand that, yeah, if you play rubbish, you will get dropped. But then again, if someone that's just came in doesn't play well, don't just take him out straight away. You have to give them time to acclimatise. You have to give them a game. You have to give them a couple games, depending on who they are, depending on what type of a performance they put in. There has to be some time. And Errol, you're right. There's way too much chopping and changing. But that is due to the amount of injuries we have. It's due to someone coming in and getting injured. Reguilon came in, got injured. Amrabat came in, realised maybe we should play him further forward. So Lindelof went to left back. It's all of these things. It's people not knowing where other people are because they're used to someone else being there and being in that space. But they're injured. Someone else is there, but they're not used to that position. They're not used to playing on the left side. They're used to playing on the right side. So they might not open their body out enough. They might not angle themselves enough. They might not know to look over that shoulder instinctively, autonomously. They might do this before they do that. And by the time they've done that, someone's already there and they've got a tap in. There's so many different things which contribute to the reason why Manchester United aren't playing very well at the moment. It's just unfortunate because, people say all the time, commentators, pundits, the sign of a good team, the sign of a title winning team is a team that can play terrible and still win. We play terrible and get battered. That's the difference between us and other teams. But Spencer says, although he was younger, De Gea also didn't have a good start to his United career. His start was on and off because in his first season, he won the Premier League. For me, the highlight of that season was the free kick save against Juan Mata. But I think he had a decent first season. Yeah, he got dropped for a few games because he wasn't physically imposing enough. There was one match against Blackburn where we lost, and Grant Hanley, I don't know how I remember this actually, but Grant Hanley scored the winner for them, or the equaliser. I believe it was the winner, but it was from a corner or a cross that was from a corner. De Gea tried to get it, but it was like, you could have done this, or you could have literally done that, and I think he would have gone flying. He got the header, Grant Hanley got the header, and Blackburn won the game. I believe he then got dropped for Anders Lindegaard, who was a very, very capable backup keeper. So, it happens. But De Gea, I don't think it was as bad as people think. And it was a very quick turnaround as well. It quickly became the De Gea versus Manuel Neuer for probably about 6 years. That is the level that De Gea was operating at. But of course, times have changed. The position requirements have changed. What teams are doing now have changed in general. So, unfortunately, as much as it may upset me and it may upset you, De Gea's role in today's game is almost becoming redundant at the highest level. And it's a shame because he's a genuinely top-class keeper who can... We've seen him do God's work. We've seen saves and we're thinking, oh, what happened there? That match against Arsenal? How did that happen? Only De Gea knows. I haven't seen another keeper reproduce that sort of performance, but De Gea is just not what we need right now. We've got what we need in Onana. He just needs to get his confidence back up, and he'll be able to crack on. But we are coming towards the end of the show because I do want to finish up on some very, very good news. This is news that I'm happy with. I am buzzing with this. Kobbie Mainoo is closing in on a comeback to the pitch. Now, I'm not saying this because Kobbie Mainoo's back. Yeah, we're gonna win the league. I'm saying this because he's a very, very talented player who definitely gets into the team and definitely improves us. And we need everybody back. He's, I guess, the player that I'm most excited for their return. But at the same time, I understand that he needs time. And as fans of Manchester United, as a fan of Kobbie Mainoo, we need to understand that we can't get on him. He's only 18 years old. He hasn't even really broken through yet. So we need to give him the space. We need to support him. We need to... You shouldn't even have to say this, but you can't be abusing him. You can't be racially abusing him. If he misses a one-on-one 90th minute against City and we could have won the match. You can't be going on his Instagram later and seeing monkey emojis. You can't be doing any of that. You need to support him the way you supported players like David Beckham, the way you supported players like Ronaldo, Rooney, Ferdinand, Vidic, all these legends of the club that Manchester United fans have supported in the past. Maybe that's it will be the older fan base because they are older players, but we need more of that and less of the toxicity that we get on social media. We need less of the keyboard warriors. We need less of the abuse, less of the racism, less of the death threat, less of all of that. And I believe Manchester United, when all the players are back, I believe we'll be able to thrive. I believe Onana will be good. Kobbie Mainoo will be good. Marcus Rashford will come good again. Højlund is looking very, very promising. Currently the top scorer in the Champions League. Let's keep that run going, baby. But yeah, Manchester United, we'll just go over the topics that we spoke about today, just to round off the episode. Manchester United want to bring in Atletico Sporting Director Andrea Berta. They could face competition from Spurs and PSG. Jadon Sancho wants to rejoin Borussia Dortmund in January, as you can tell by the title. Joel and Avram Glazer still aren't ready to sell Manchester United, which I think is spin. Officials at other clubs have been privately dismissive of Manchester United Director of Football John Murtough. Some have even questioned whether he would get such a lofty role elsewhere, and if the job is too big for him. It is felt he doesn't have the contact base of some of his equivalents. A little bit of more news from Miguel Delaney. While some players consider Erik ten Hag's stance on Jadon Sancho completely fair, the winger still has friends in the squad. They feel he has been treated too harshly. Carrying on with Erik ten Hag, he has taken a softer approach to try and rescue Manchester United. He feels confidence amongst his players is so low that he has become reluctant to show his anger in the dressing room for fear of doing more damage to morale. Casemiro, of course, named Manchester United's Player of the Month. And lastly, Andre Onana is reluctant to take time away from Manchester United to play for Cameroon at the AFCON in January after a difficult start to his career. Manchester United youngster Kobbie Mainoo is close to a comeback to the pitch. Now, it has been Brooks speaking on mufcMPB here on YouTube. If you guys haven't already, make sure you do hit that subscribe button as well as the like button. For all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, make sure you do follow at mufcMPB over on YouTube as well as myself. I'm over on Twitter as well as myself, Ash Meppers and Anil. All of our links will be in the description down below. Make sure to follow us if you want to keep up with us and Manchester United. I'll say it once again, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video. If you do have any more questions, make sure to get them in very quickly. Also, make sure you can ask on Twitter. I'll always answer on Twitter. I won't bite. Manu got an award to Player of the Year, very well deserved. Isn't that the Jim Murphy? Is Jim Murphy the right word? Something Young Player of the Year. For Kobe Manu, very well deserved. But it has been me, Brooks, here on Thursday, the 5th of October, speaking to you about Manchester United. I'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. on the dot with more news surrounding Manchester United. Hope you guys have a good day. I hope you guys have a good evening as well as a good